Hola, amiga, and welcome back to the Latina Leadership Podcast, the podcast for Latinas by Latinas, where every week we have real conversations about the issues and topics that matter most to our community. Topics like education, health and wellness, entrepreneurship, pay equity, and so much more. Get comfortable. We're bringing you another inspiring episode starting right now. Enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. I'm Gracie, your co-host, and I'm so excited to be here today with Hady and Nancy from Lean In Latinas. Please introduce yourselves.
Hola, familia. I'm Hady. It's nice to be here.
Hola, familia. I'm Nancy Marmolejo, and I am very happy to be here as well.
So we're going to step right in. And for our listeners who may not know what Lean In Latinas is and what they do, can you please tell us?
Sure. Lean In Latinas is obviously a Latina organization that supports closing the pay equity gap, mentoring, education, anything and everything that Latinas need to succeed in the career space and beyond. It was founded probably, I think it was around 2013, 2014 by Ana de Pelo Garcia. She was reading a book called Lean In that came out around that time. And she invited 3 Latinas to her backyard to say, hey, let's do this as a book study. And then everybody said, well, can we bring more people? Can we bring more people? Can we bring more people? And also looking at the book through a Latina lens, which it wasn't necessarily written, with that in mind, being able to take how do we lean in and use our strength and use our network and use our connections to advance in careers, to advance in our businesses, and to close that Latina pay equity gap, which currently Latinas make about 54 cents to every $1 that the average white male makes. So we want to see that money in our pockets through advancement, and that's what Lean In Latinas is all about.
And it's also just an amazing community of mujeres that are lifting each other up and showing up for each other and celebrating each other's wins. And that's one of the things that I love the most about us.
Yes, we're all about celebrating each other too. That's why I really wanted to interview you guys and really see what work you do in this organization. So can you tell us a little about your roles at Lean In Latinas and your kind of day-to-day behind the scenes?
Do you want to go first, Hady?
Sure. So I am the director of programs, and that's a pretty big it's a pretty big I guess hat that I wear. Nancy actually was the former director of programs, and I have big shoes to fill, as it turns out, as well. But I'm really focused on making sure that people are spending time with each other. I focus on a lot of like network level type of events. So making sure that we're going to be talking about circles in a little while, but know that Lean In Latinas is made up of different communities, which we call circles. Some of it is like regional, some of it is industry based, but I just make sure that the entire network is getting to spend time together. We have a platform where we talk. It's the Mighty Networks platform. We have mixers every quarter where we're spending time with each other. We're bringing in some of the best in class speakers from the Latina community to talk to our members. And then we spend time together getting to know each other, especially people outside of our circle or outside of the group that we may belong to. And then we have a really big conference, which I know Nancy's going to talk more about later, but I help to support the conference. And this year we're actually trying to do something even more special. We're trying to also do something for our first gen members, and hopefully we're going to see that happen later this spring. So we have quite a bit going on. And as the director of programs, I get to have a little bit of hand in all of it and just find ways that we can continue to, like I said, lift each other up, work together, we pull people from some circles to help support other circles. And that's where the magic happens. Just really getting to see each other shine and lift each other up.
And she does an amazing job at it. I mean, just like, can't you see just Hady's enthusiasm and love of getting people connected and engaging? And it's not transactional. It's not like one of those things where I'm going to walk in with a business card and leave with a client. That's the only reason why I'm going. It really is a network of mujeres supporting mujeres, and Hady is is really such a great leader in creating engagement opportunities. So I started off just like I joined a circle, and it was just we get together for coffee, and it's all pre-pandemic. And then I started the Latina Speakers and Coaches Circle in 2020, and that was really cool. And we had all these wonderful, amazing Latinas who some of them were speakers and coaches, and a lot of them weren't. They just really what we discovered is the whole amplify our voices, and how many people look at speaking as I need to speak up when I'm in that meeting because they keep talking over me, or I need to speak up and get a raise. And then I had so much fun doing that. I got asked to come in and do programming. Say, how can we replicate, all the fun that we were having in this particular circle and infuse it across the organization. So I said, okay, yeah, that sounds great. And then Hady comes into my life, and I say, Hady, how about if you're my co-director? And then Anna, our founder, asked me if I would just kind of help a little bit more on the operational and strategic side, advising and, collaborating with our programming, with our circles, with our marketing, and just all the different things that we need to face the world and let them know who we are and what we're up to.
And I can just tell by the way you talk about Lean In Latinas that you are so passionate and motivated and driven in these roles. What inspired you both to become involved in Lean In Latinas?
I can kick us off. I guess for me, so the circle that Nancy started was my first circle that I joined. So, it all starts with the circle. That's kind of where it starts. That's the name of the game with us. And I joined the Speakers and Coaches Circle back in 2022. And that was my very first experience with the network. And I had never been in a place like that, just, where it was all Latinas and all love and just so much support and feeling just valued and celebrated and appreciated in just a very special way. I just never experienced that before. So I knew this was something very special, and I knew that I wanted to kind of get more involved. It was just so much fun and so welcoming. And I left that meeting really feeling that I have found my people. And basically, I never looked back. I just kind of kept finding ways to do more. And then I spoke at our conference, and then I volunteered to, do the New York. I lead the New York circle now. So then I'm doing that. And then I got involved now. I was the assistant director of programming. And that meant that I was responsible for a general membership circle. And then now that I am the director of programming, then the world is my oyster. And I just really, I don't know, like, I want everybody to leave with the feeling that I left with that very first meeting, which was that I found my people.
I love that. I just want Hady to keep talking. I already said I met Anna. I loved her. I all that. I feel like I've already answered this question. So I want to add something that is important to know is that Hady and I are both volunteers. So sometimes people think, oh, we're so happy you have that position at Lean In Latinas. Like I've got a 401k from Lean In Latinas, and we get paid in what Anna calls heart dollars, and I call them karma coins. But it has been so rewarding because we see the immediate impact of what we're doing. And sometimes people would come to our Latina speakers and coaches meetings, especially during the pandemic, and not know anybody. They just came in on a fluke. And then we had to pass the virtual tissue box because somebody would just get really emotional and start crying, saying, I've been looking for this for so long. And again, it's not a transactional space. It's not like you have to do this in order to be accepted. You have to be this. It's really just show up. Who are you? Just come as you are. Share what you have to share. We want to create a space where people feel open, transparent, and safe. And I think we've done a really good job of that. So I'm really proud.
Yeah, I actually didn't know it was volunteer based for you guys. That's amazing. So, Nancy, I know you have a background in multicultural education. How does that influence your approach to designing the programs for Lean In Latinas?
Yes, and that was a while ago. So I was an educator in my first career, and what we called back then multicultural education, it's got such a cooler name now. It's like social justice and equity in education. I'm like, that's more like what it was. It was DEI work in the educational space before, one, we had that term, and two, it got deemed as something not good anymore because of whatever the current climate. However, I digress. When you are looking at a space, how do I make this inclusive? How do I understand that the experience that everybody is having here, and also understanding that not everybody walks into the room with the same lived experience? We are multicultural as Latinas. We are multiracial as Latinas. We have different socioeconomic backgrounds and spaces. We have many first-gen Latinas who we are stepping forward and saying, we'll be that connected network you don't have or weren't born into. So many of our members, they don't have like, oh, I'll get a job by asking dad's golf buddy. We don't have that, not everyone. And so we're providing that. We're the madrinas, we're the comadres, we're the connections. And that for me is a direct reflection of my educational background, is to create spaces of equity, of access, and of inclusion. Some things that we have really looked at, for example, we had a panel discussion that was celebrating Afro-Latinas and addressing anti-Blackness within the Latino culture. We want to be really honest about who we are and what we're celebrating, but also where we can do better as a community. And all of those things come from my background. In my professional work, I do a lot of work around inclusion and belonging as well. So that mindset and consciousness follows me wherever I go.
No, yeah, now more than ever, that is so important, is feeling, that belonging in the workplace. What are some other challenges Latinas face in the workplace today that you've heard from being in Lean In Latinas?
I can kick us off. I think Nancy already mentioned this, but we're underpaid, we're underestimated, we're overlooked. And we just don't get paid the same as our peers or promoted at the same rates. Like, there's a discrepancy, and it's documented and it's known. Like that, actually, Lean In Latinas had a full report that we did in 2024 that talked about a lot of the things that I'm talking about, that Nancy and I are talking about here. And so there's evidence to back all of this up. As we go up the rank, there's less and less of us. We don't have that representation in senior levels. We don't, there's nobody like us. So we're like, when we're looking up and we're like, maybe somebody can help me, or maybe there's someone who can coach or mentor me. And it's like, well, I don't see anybody that looks like me who I can tap on the shoulder to do that. So I think that's, to Nancy's point, we're trying to fill that gap to some degree. So Lean In Latinas is dedicated to strengthening our community. We provide the support, we provide guidance, opportunities for growth. Nancy and I both have illustrious careers. We're both seasoned professionals. I have over 30 years of work and life experience that I can draw from. So I use a lot of that to help coach and mentor people. I like the opportunity. I know Nancy and I both do this, where we see something in somebody and we're like, wow, that person is fire. Like there's something in that woman, in that mujer, there's something in there. And so just, cultivating that and being like, hey, do you want to present here? Do you want to, be part of our conference? Do you want to present at the next mixer? Just weeding out and just seeing some people and like kind of lifting them up a little bit and giving them some time in the spotlight. I think that is a very rewarding part of the work that we do, but it's also a very important part of the work that we do. So, the organization is really empowering individuals to become leaders and pursue their dreams, whether that's in a corporate setting, in an entrepreneurial setting, as a stay-at-home mom, or whatever other profession or path they choose. But we just want us to be leaders and to be celebrated.
Yeah, I want to just amplify what Hady just said. And she mentioned the State of Latinas in Corporate America report that came out in 2024. So for 10 years, the McKinsey organization and Lean In organization, which is kind of our founding organization. Lean In Latinas is a network under Lean In. That's a whole other hierarchy we can explain later. But most important thing is Lean In and McKinsey partnered on this Women in the Workplace report for 10 years. And then last year, they extracted the data as it pertains to Latinas and created this report called the State of Latinas in Corporate America. And if you go to leaninlatinas.org, we have a link to it on our homepage. But some of the things that Hady said as far as challenges, this whole concept of the broken rung. Well, everybody's entering in at the same time, same place, same level. But why is it that the white male advances in this way and the Latina doesn't? And so it identifies all of these different reasons that either cause a Latina to quit or to not get promoted. It can include microaggressions. It can include inflexible workplace options. It can include just all of the different biases that are experienced, as well as lack of mentoring, lack of a network, lack of connection. So we take all of that into account. And, when that report came out, I remember everybody was just like looking down, so discouraged. And we just took it and said, no, these are our marching orders. Like, thank you. You just listed out everything that we can now address. So we know that what we're doing is closing the pay equity gap, even if it's helping that person feel more confident in themselves, that they can even sit at the table and think of themselves as able to negotiate for their salary, as opposed to following maybe some of that old programming of just keep your head down, work hard, don't rock the boat, be grateful you have a job. Hady is a great example of somebody who advocates for speaking up for yourself, of having the confidence to negotiate. Págame, she'll say, págame, págame, and great talks that she gives. So we really address those challenges head on with specific solutions. And the solutions are not always, so much of it is mindset, So we just wanted to, that's, you asked a simple question, what are some of the biggest challenges? And we could go for like an hour just talking about an answer to that question.
And that's why it's so important that Lean In Latinas was even created. I remember I was doing my research. I didn't even know that was a thing. And I was just so excited to learn more. So someone, I guess, who is interested in joining, how does that work?
So the best thing you can do at this moment, there's a couple of different ways. We have, on the leanin.org website, we do have a spot. We have our leaninlatinas.org website. That's probably the best place to go, and you can learn how to get involved. And then once you join, there's no dues to pay. We invite you to join a circle, and circles are these affinity groups that can be geographically based, like San Antonio, Houston, we have LA, we have Nueva York there regionally. And then we have some that are career or pathway, like our speakers and coaches, which is a virtual group, Latinas in healthcare. And then we have some that are, I don't know, some other, I'm trying to think of all the different circles we have.
The miscellaneous category.
Miscellaneous categories. And then we have people come in and they're like, I don't know. And we're like, okay, cool. We have a general members circle. Join that. And Hady leads that. And it's like fire every single month. People sort of like go into a motivational speaker seminar / personal development workshop / somebody just connected me with the answer I needed, kind of experience. So we also keep things fairly open. So we have planned programming, but we also leave space for people to have a conversation. And what boils up from that is always really fascinating.
And speaking on circles, I really want to get to know more about what that is and how they help Latinas grow. So what is Lean In Latinas circles, and how do they help them grow through topics such as wellness, technology, civic engagement?
So I'll take that question. I think we've explained between the both of us pretty thoroughly what the circles are. So they're really just like self-contained communities. And I would say that, when I think about the purpose or the function of the circle, our entire network meets once a year in person at our annual conference. So the circles is a really critical part of our strategy to keep people in touch throughout the year, right? So we all meet at the conference and we're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in such a long time, and hugs and kisses, and we're learning and having fun and doing all the things. And then we kind of go back to our home base, which is our home circle, whether that's virtual or in person or a combination of the two. And that's where we kind of connect with people throughout the year. So that's where we stay in touch with people all year round. I know that in Nueva York, our circle up to this point, we launched in January, and we be hibernating in the cold months on the East Coast. So we've been mostly virtual so far, but we are going to come out of our caves this spring and summer, and we'll probably have 1 or 2, maybe even 3 events leading up to the fall that will be in-person events, so people can actually get to meet each other, and maybe we can get a group of people to go to the conference together. And then we'll probably hibernate again, towards the end of the year. But I feel like that's what works for us. I think there's other circles have other sort of methods to the madness. I know the speakers and coaches, we meet monthly with speakers and coaches. It's always the third Thursday of the month?
Third Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Third Tuesday of the month. So it's like it's fixed. And so it's like, put it on your calendar. It's never going to change. It's always the same day, same times every month. And I think that consistency is pretty good, and it's virtual. So we get people from all over the country, all over the world, really. We had someone from Spain joining us last time we were on. And so, I just think that, we talk about like, what do we need as Latinas? And some of what we need is just like that community. We need to have a community that supports us and shows up for us. And so that consistency is pretty good. Whether it's virtual or in real life, almost doesn't matter. I think the important thing is that we're finding ways to stay connected. We're meeting mujeres muy poderosas, so powerful women. Every time we get new people every time. People are joining the circles all the time. We have thousands of members, and we get, I don't know, every time Nancy or I host a meeting, there's always new faces, and some familiar faces, and then lots of new ones. And so I think it's powerful that we're always growing our network, and we're learning strategies that we need either to continue to be successful at work, whether that's a corporate setting or whether it's a business setting. As an example, just the other day, Nancy hosted a meeting, and then after the meeting, she said, "If y'all want to stay around for another 10 minutes, I'm going to teach you this way that I use for
sales."
Yeah, it was a sales thing. And everybody stayed, like nobody moved. And we're all going to stay because we want to learn this thing. And, Nancy's been an entrepreneur for 20 years now, more?
Yeah.
And a lot of us, we're converting side hustles into our professions, and we're making a living off of these, new businesses that we're launching. Every day there's so many Latinas launching businesses. And, we can learn from somebody like Nancy. So we listen. So everybody stayed on the line, and we're all like taking notes, like we're in school. And, anyway, it's just powerful stuff. And it's great when we have all our circles have corresponding spaces on our platform, on the Mighty Networks platform. And then we also have like one channel that's dedicated to the entire network. So it's nice because we can talk to each other in our own circles, or we can talk to people outside of our circle and meet other people. And then, like I said, our mixers and our general member meetings are pretty open to everyone in the network. And so, we're just always like kind of cross collaborating and meeting new people all the time. So we're expanding our networks. We're learning a lot. We're finding community and support. And we're just meeting other powerful women that can really inspire us. And I think there's nobody that leaves those meetings uninspired, no matter who's the one presenting. We're always learning from each other.
Can I add one little thing to that?
Yes.
One of the coolest things, and Gracie, as a podcaster, you'll appreciate this. We have various folks that show up that might have a podcast, a blog, whatever, maybe an event. Next thing you know, we see all these things popping up on social media, and they're inviting each other to be guests on their podcasts, or here's a selfie. We just met for coffee. And so we're watching these relationships form. We're watching this visibility amplify. And just knowing that the seeds are being planted, we don't have any control over what happens to anybody the minute they walk in these rooms, but folks are meeting each other. And again, it's like this safe space to connect with somebody and get creative and collaborative. And I just, to me, I just get so happy every time I see that. We have book launches, we have all sorts of different things. And so imagine you have some kind of a project and, okay, I think I'd like a whole bunch of more people knowing about it and promoting it. Boom. We can create that just through the relationships.
I'm like, after this, let me go join. That sounds amazing. I've really been
Crazy.
Yeah, I've really been trying to find, these Latina communities, not even just in Houston, but, nationwide. And
We have a Lean In Latinas Houston.
that's amazing.
I'm going to connect you.
Thank you. That actually leads into my next question about you being a volunteer for this. So how do you both, manage to balance, your leadership roles for Lean In Latina with your personal lives and your outside careers?
You want me to start, Hady?
Yeah, you start.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I am at this phase of life. My daughter's in college, and it's like I'm, one day you're not taking your kids to dance and sports and all that stuff, and you realize, oh, I got some time. So I've really utilized the last several years of being of service, and it means a lot to me. And I'm really adamant about self-care as well. In fact, right before I got onto this podcast, I was talking to another organization that I do some volunteer work with, and I told them, I need to scale back because I have other things that I'm working on, And it was just that being clear and communicating my boundaries. So that's number one. Nobody's asking anybody here to sacrifice or be a martyr or to harm themselves in the name of a good cause. Like, forget that. We're not about that. I am fortunate enough to, wherever I live, I seem to always be near some kind of a green space, nature trail, trees. And even though I live in Oakland, California, which most people associate with like an extremely urban area, we have hills with oak forests and redwood forests, and I am on those trails every day. That is my self-care. I have amazing friends. I have a spiritual practice. I have family. I make sure I'm having fun. When I'm working, I'm all in. And when I'm having fun, I'm all in. So I'm very conscious and intentional about how I spend my time. And I also, I'll tell people, like, don't bug me on the weekend. I got other things going on. And now they know that it's like, don't send Nancy an email on Friday night and expect her to get back to you Saturday. It's like, no, I'm really, really, I have boundaries around access as well, because my brain needs a rest as well as my body. So those are my secrets to self-care.
Yep. Plus one for me. Everything Nancy said is true for me too. I would say for me also, I have what I would call a personalized self-care plan. So, it's made up of like, I need to walk, have movement. So I got to get outside as well. I try to like plug that into my day as much as possible. I spend a lot of time with eating the things that make me feel better. Like I like eating, I won't say I would say I eat nutritious meals, and I've learned to really like them. And they just work for me. My body notices the difference. And so, being optimal, like having not running on fumes, but having like high energy days all day through is very important to me. I reflect a lot on like, hey, I'm starting to feel like I'm running myself a little bit ragged. And then I say, okay, I got to make a list of things. I got to figure out where there's an opportunity to maybe reprioritize or reassess where I spend my time. Like Nancy, I also have stepped down from leadership positions that I've had recently. And it's either because I don't think it's aligned with my mission anymore, like what I want to be doing. So if this like Lean In Latinas is very aligned with me and my purpose. But if there's things that are like kind of aligned, but not entirely aligned, I have found that for me it's better to just kind of move on so that I could create space for bigger things and better things for me. And right now I'm writing a book, and that takes up so much of my time. So I have to be so deliberate and intentional about how I spend my time. So I think like I think for Nancy and I to be in roles like this, we operate very similarly in that these are passion. This is like a passion project for us. And we know we're very clear on like our values and purpose. This is very aligned, and that's kind of what makes this so much fun and so life-giving for us to do, you know.
Yes, and I actually had a question. This is a new question I'm adding, but Hady, you're an author, correct?
I am. I contributed a chapter to a multi-author book last year, and then this year I'm coming out with my solo book.
Can you tell us like a little hint on what it's about?
Yes. So I'm writing the book for us, for all of us on the line, and hopefully for members of your audience. I'm writing it for other Latinas and women of color. I'm sharing my journey and the lessons that I've learned along my journey, and in the hope that other people will feel inspired to reflect on their own journey and maybe learn some of the same lessons that I've learned, or at least reflect on them. And everything that's in it has to do with like confidence, self-care, building community, owning your narrative, being steadfast and positive, bringing others with you as you lead. Like for me, that whole concept of you start off advocating for yourself, but once you have found your voice and you learn how to advocate, you can use your platform to advocate for other people too. And that's the kind of leader I want to be. That's the kind of leader I think we all should be. We should always be, advocating for one another, celebrating each other, having a spirit of abundance and saying, I'm so happy for Nancy, and Nancy's winning and I'm here for it. And then my time, I'll get my turn another time. But now we're shining the light on Nancy and just feeling happy for Nancy. Like there's not enough of us doing that, but we all should be able to celebrate the success of other people, knowing that, our time is going to come another time, and hopefully people will be there to celebrate with us when it's our turn. So I talk about a lot of these things, and I'm really excited. It's going to come out around September 15th. So I'm targeting it for the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. I kind of have a working title, but I'm probably not going to share it. I don't know if I'm allowed to, so I have to kind of keep that on the down low for now. But I'm in the editing process, and it's going to go to the publisher in a few weeks. So
that's so exciting. I was just about to ask, when can we see that in stores?
In September. And I wanted to share, I'll do one more thing that I want to share that I'm really excited about. My content editor is Latina. My copy editor is Latina. My book cover designer is Latina. And my PR coach is Latina. And I'm targeting to get a marketing assistant that will be Latina. And right now I have a digital marketing assistant that is also Latina. So I tried to pull as many of my sisters as I could into the process. And trust me, it's not easy because it's a very publishing and the whole book, world is a very white space. And so even, writing the book is something, different. But as you know, a lot of us are starting to do that now. But to find all of those people in the process that were Latina, I tapped into my network, and I'm so glad I did, because I was able to find and repurpose so many of these amazing people that some of the other Latina authors I know used as well. So we're out there. We're living our best life.
No, I was just about to say, even, the world of Latina authors is growing.
Yes.
And we're seeing more representation in that.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to read your book.
Good. I'm excited for you to read it.
And this might be in it. I don't know if it is, but what advice would you give to young Latinas who are interested in leadership roles, who need that extra, help in navigating their career journey?
Nancy, why don't you start, and I'll follow you.
Well, I love this question because I have a young, my daughter's 22, but I see, everybody is on their own path and has their own journey, and there's no one way to do something. I find that if you give somebody a very linear set of instructions, it's very likely that the minute you hit an obstacle, you'll quit and say, that didn't work for me. I don't belong there. Make your space. Find where, just know that when you walk in somewhere, you belong. I think the most important thing that anybody can do around leadership development is be self-aware. because that level of self-awareness gives you emotional intelligence. It gives you the ability to self-reflect, to know when you've been, yeah, I could have done that better. Oh, that was really good. How to evaluate ourselves without beating ourselves up. A couple of things I tell my daughter all the time. I said, I don't care what you study in school, you go and do your thing. And she's at a top university, so I'm really happy for her. But I said, there's two things, like do what you want, but know how to manage people and know how to manage a budget. You have those two things down, follow your heart's content. You want to be in the arts, you want to be in tech, you want to be in public service, whatever it is. There's just certain tangible skills I think are important for somebody to ascend in leadership. But then there's also just that groundedness and that notion of I belong here. So many of our members in Lean In Latinas are existing in spaces where they don't feel like they belong or they're othered. The minute they walk in the room, we've had people break down in tears, hating themselves because they speak with an accent. Hating themselves. I mean, not like, I'm not going to teach my child how to speak Spanish because I'm so ashamed of the accent I have. We've had people come in with that. We've had people come in and say, everybody makes me, they stereotype me as being all these Latina stereotypes. You're spicy, you're fiery, you're emotional. And like nobody's looking at her for her intelligence and for her leadership and her strength. So we're there to help people understand that there's this illusion that gets laid over you, this gaslighting that can get laid over you. And so we help to lift that. All of those things are what contributes to a great leader. And I said it before, I'll say it again. It's not a script. It's not say these three things and this is how you'll succeed, or wear this type of clothing and you'll succeed, or stand this way or do your hair this way. It's really that presence of who you are when you walk in the room. And people who are, I don't know, haters, I don't know what to call them. The people who are not for you, they're constantly looking for your insecurities to exploit. So that way you'll never live up to your full potential, So that's the other reason why we're here. And we're multi-generational in our organization as well. Hady and I, we're Gen X. We're proud, we're latchkey kids. We figured out how to feed ourselves with no food in the house, all that stuff. But we have a couple boomers in our organization. We have members in their 70s. We have members in their early 20s. And I learned from them.
Yep.
I learned from Gen Z. I learned from the millennials. Obviously, I swap old time stories with the Gen X. I learned from the boomers. We don't walk in saying there's a hierarchy, because I'll look and see like Gen Z is making things happen so much faster and more efficiently. Like, oh, we should do that. Or the ability for somebody to speak up and advocate themselves and say what they need or what their boundaries are. Everybody's learning from each other. Those are all leadership qualities that we need to embrace.
Yeah. I love what you said. And I love that you teased out our multi-generational, that I think that's like a one of our superpowers, is just having all of those perspectives and learning from each other. But my advice to a young Latina that is feeling unsure about how to navigate their career and show up, I think it's really important for folks, like Nancy said, to be very self-aware, get to know yourself. And I think the two things you need to get to know the most about yourself are what excites you and what you're good at. So, in my book, I call it descubriendo your why. You need to know like why you're here and what your purpose is and what you are, what is your mission? Like if even something you would do for free. As an example, I really like supporting and celebrating other people. I want to make sure people feel included, especially people that are underestimated. And I volunteered for 2 years and I went on mission and I lived in Bolivia and I worked with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated women. And when I think back to that time, that was something I literally did for free because I wasn't getting paid to do it. But it was something that really made my heart sing. And that once I like knew that about myself, it informed so many other decisions. And I feel like when we're in alignment with the things we're good at and the things that make our hearts sing, we have the highest potential to succeed and to, give our gifts into the world, bring our gifts into the world. So, yeah. And of course, if they can meet somebody that's in their field and they can spend time with that person and really, get advice, maybe ask for an endorsement or some sponsorship. I know that that was something that I was always very scared to do. I didn't see a lot of people like me. And so the people that were left to ask, it was either like a white woman or a white man pretty much that I had to ask to sponsor me. And I was, oftentimes that was something that made me really nervous. I just wasn't sure that, they would be interested in supporting my career, or they would be interested in investing time, to see me grow and to see me succeed. And so, I think there were a lot of times where people were kind of giving me the green flag, and they're like, Hady, I love, you're great and you're doing great work. I see a lot of potential in you. And those would have been some really opportune moments for me to be like, can you be my mentor? Can you be my coach? Can you be something? And I didn't do it because I was too afraid. So I would say, step into your power and know that if people are interested in seeing you grow, and it can come from anybody and any person, any race, any gender, if someone's interested in you and investing time to see you, to see you be successful, I think it's really important to lean into that, pun intended with the whole lean in thing.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm 24. I'm just starting out in my career. I feel like mentorship is something I'm learning that everybody needs in their lives, especially trying to grow their career. So Lean In Latinas has that, doesn't they? Don't they?
We want to support you and your success, Gracie. We see you. You look at you making a podcast about Latina leadership. I mean, you're doing it, and that's what we want to see more of. Just do the thing. Get out there and do it. Like, don't ask permission. And I love that. It's like we're showing up in spaces like never before.
And actually, I want to know what the most rewarding part of being in Lean In Latinas is for you both, personally and professionally.
Most rewarding? Gosh. I think some of it has to do with, like, after the conference, we mentioned our Take Charge conference, bringing people together, and somebody coming up to me. There was a young woman, and she was around your age bracket there, Gracie, and she just broke down into tears. She was so grateful to be in that space, so grateful to feel supported because she didn't have that built into her life. And we understand that a lot of people don't have that type of support built into their lives, and we're stepping in to provide it. There have been so many people who just want to call and, share an idea or explore, is it okay if I do this? And it's like, gosh, we have this whole thing like asking permission, just like, I think I was a bit of a rebel back in the day. I was like, kind of not a troublemaker, but I was curious and free spirited. And so I'd get in trouble back when I was in school, but it was because I was trying to explore things, and they kept putting the wall up saying, no, you can't do that because you're a girl. You can't do that because you're this, because you're that. Well, now those barriers aren't even there anymore. And I'm like, go do it. So that's what we want to see, is we just want to see more, courage and supporting that courageousness.
Yeah. And what I would add is that for me, my personal mission and the mission of Lean In Latinas those two missions are very aligned. And so because of that, it just seems just very easy to be part of this. And I feel very lucky that I'm working on the things that are important to me every day, and that I'm in a role that allows me to contribute to something that's really important to me. I do a show on LinkedIn Live called Latinas Front and Center. And every single, I would say without fail, every single woman that I've interviewed on that program, I ask like, kind of who inspires you, or like what's important to you? What is it that drives you in your mission? And everyone says, I want to see the next generation do better than I did. I want to give back. I want to give back to my sisters. I want to see my hermanas. Like, if I learned a lesson and I was able to put it into action in my 40s, I want them to do it when they're in their 20s. Why wait till you're in your 40s? Learn all those lessons early and be that much more successful early on. And so I think a lot of us learned some very powerful lessons. So we're chingonas in our own right, but it took time. it took time because we had to kind of learn it the hard way, and we didn't really have a lot of people writing books or doing podcasts or teaching us about anything. We just kind of like fudged our way through it. And I think if there's anything that I take away from my involvement with Lean In Latinas is that we're getting a chance to kind of get at this and share the information and the lessons and, the strategies that much sooner with a lot more people. So we're reaching a lot of people. We're reaching them earlier in their careers, and we're getting a chance all to be role models for each other. And so I just feel like there's just a lot of opportunity there to give back and to lift other people. Even as we're rising, we're lifting each other up. And, there's a lot of power in that. And I just feel it's coming from a very genuine place. We don't gatekeep. No gatekeeping, just love. That's all we got is love.
You reached me, and I hope this interview reaches so many other people, like coming to Lean In Latinas and really being involved. Like, I guess I'm excited to join. I'm excited to grow my career, and I'm excited to network, just meet new people.
Yeah, just consider Hady and I, your two cool tias that are just like taking you where nobody else is going to take you. Like, God, shaky bear.
Exactly. That actually reminds me, there's a really good book out. So I know we're like talking about all things Latina, so I'll throw in the book as well. There's a book out there called Tias and Primas. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It's written by a Latina. It's called Tias and Primas, and it's so good. And there's like different like archetypes. And there's like la tia loca, la tia, la prima perfecta, la tia. So we're one of those tias. I have actually identified probably about 3 tias that I really that resonate with me. I'm so that tia. There's a cool tia. And I was like, boom, I'm cool tia. But then there were other ones that I was like, pero espérate, I think I'm actually this one too. So it's really fun. It's a great book. And actually someone from our community has a podcast, and she and I are going to be reviewing the book like next month. So there'll be an opportunity. It's very incestuous, the Latina community, which I love.
No, I love book recommendations. So I'll be adding that to my to read.
It's really good. You're going to love it.
Okay. Can you elaborate on some new exciting programs coming to Lean In Latinas? Or I guess, like, what is the future of Lean In Latinas right now?
Oh gosh. What, Nancy, do you want to take that, or do you want me to take it?
Well, you're director of programming. I mean, we have the conference, which is called Take Charge. This year it's happening on August 15th. TakeChargeConference.com is where you get the info. Hady is organizing a first gen summit that's going to be happening in late spring or early summer 2025. We have Hady also. Sorry, Hady, I'm like totally saying what you do, and you're the one you should probably be saying it. So I'm looking at the time, and I realized we should probably wrap it up. I want
to say one thing that's I think is really important that I've been focusing on is really bringing like best in class speakers to the group, and that's like very much by design. So we're finding some of the most amazing Latinas doing like trailblazers, doing incredible work, and we're bringing them into our space. So that is one of the things that I'm really excited about. As an example, you might know this podcaster because she's a fellow podcaster. Do you know Pam from Café con Pam?
Yes, I've actually listened to that recently.
Yes, she's going to be doing a whole Calladita culture thing for a mixer for us in I think April or May. I think it's May. So she's going to be one of our speakers. So we're like really excited that we were able to secure her. We know she has like a really amazing following. She's been doing the work for years. She's been a podcaster for a really long time. She's so interesting and cool. And we're so excited to bring her to our community. So we have lots of people that we're bringing into the space, and we're really excited about that.
And you mentioned these summits are in person. Where's the first gen summit?
That's virtual.
Oh, it is virtual. Oh, okay.
So our first gen summit is virtual. Our Take Charge conference is in person. It's at the LinkedIn headquarters in Mountain View. So if getting impressed by fancy tech campuses is on your bucket list, well, come on over. we actually, it was so funny last year because they have all these like bicycles around because it got people want to ride around the campus and whatnot. And one of our participants, America Bryant, and she knows I'm going to shout her out, but she had this great orange dress on, so she was really easy to spot. And we see this like woman in an orange dress on one of the LinkedIn bicycles bicycling through the campus, and we're like, oh my God, our Latina conference, we're like on their bikes, we're taking over this place. She just didn't want to walk to the parking lot. She took the bike. It was so funny. But we just really, we really are grateful to LinkedIn for hosting us. And it's just a cool, cool place. I mean, come on over just to ride the bikes.
And they have a Latina in a really good position there too. So she actually led some conferences last year about like how to like really improve your LinkedIn profile and yeah. So it's cool. Like we're everywhere. We really are. If we like just double click and like really like be intentional about finding, we're everywhere. And we were able to find a Boricua that's on the LinkedIn team, and we're like, okay, you're going to do one of the breakout sessions. So that was really cool.
No, that's so exciting. I'm gonna take a look into into traveling over there.
Amazing. We love to have you. You'll have to let us know if you come.
Yes, for sure. And my last question is there anything I didn't ask you, Hady or Nancy, that you want to tell our audience?
I'll share something real quick. I have a Substack, and it's called Hady Unfiltered, Sin Pelos en la Lengua. If you want to find me on Substack, I talk about a lot of things, including my book, but other things too, everything from the perspective of a Latina. So I would love some new followers.
I would like to shout out, and I'm a subscriber to Hady Substack, so I definitely encourage everyone to subscribe to it. We are always, always, always open to people who want to be involved with our organization in any way, shape, or form. We have volunteers that run our marketing campaigns. If you're some social media hotshot, maybe you want to have a podcast that's only about Lean In Latinas, or you want to support our circles, or start a circle, or find a circle,
or make a donation.
Make a donation. All of these things are possible. We're volunteer run and organized, and we are always open to anything along those lines. You can email me, Nancy at leaninlatinas.org. Maybe we can put that in the show notes. But I'd love to hear from people, especially if you want to be involved in a way that is more than just attending, but to really be involved in the creation. Because all of these things, like a First Gen Summit, the way that we got that idea was just from listening to our members in the circles. We said, wow, we have a lot of First Gen. And listen, they're all talking about this. Why don't we have a summit? What if we, so anything and everything involving supporting our organization. I just want to invite people to reach out.
Yes, any extra resources such as your emails, contact, we'll add into the description.
Yes,
and
please.
Thank you so much, Hady and Nancy, for joining me today.
Thank you for having us, Gracie. It was fun to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Latina Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your amigas, comadres, hermanas, your mom, your tias, or anyone who you think would enjoy the conversation. The Latina Leadership Podcast is a weekly video and audio podcast since 2020. Visit our online Latina Leaders Directory, join our growing community of Latina changemakers, keep up with our calendar of events, or reach out to us if you're interested in supporting the Latina Leadership Podcast by visiting our website at latinaleadershippodcast.com. And with that, we'll see you next time.